So apparently there was some research that was done that showed how Americans felt about the agenda for the upcoming Congress. And one thing that they did not want to do was make cutting taxes their priority, because DC elites want to take as much money they can from Americans and spend it on their pet projects and on pork and on all these other things. Thankfully, it looks like the tide has turned and a new tax bill is going to be introduced pretty quickly after Trump gets inaugurated. We've got the House, we've got the Senate, we have a mandate to lead, and it looks like they're going to start to run with it thanks to some pressure from outside groups. 82% of Americans favor ending taxes on Social Security income. As you know, we all have moms and grandmas and grandpas that are on Social Security who end up losing $200, $300, $400, $500 every month to pay taxes when they're receiving tax money. Why would you pay money that you've already paid taxes on? I don't completely understand why they would have to do that, but I know it would make a big deal to my mother if she had an extra few $100s, considering she worked her whole life and paid into a system that gives her an annuity that's not really an annuity. Then she's not actually getting the money back that she put in already. So why are we continuing to cheat our seniors when it comes to their Social Security retirement? It's just a scam. The whole system is a scam, but we could at least not rip off our seniors who paid into the system and now want their money back, which is what Uncle Sam does every time they tax Social Security income. And 82% of Americans agree with me on this, and it looks like it's going to be a priority for the next Congress, and that is awesome. 71% of Americans support ending taxation on tips, which is awesome. As you know, restaurants have gotten away with not paying minimum wage to their employees forever. Like, I don't even know when that law started. And so now we're finally going to stop making them pay federal taxes on there. Not that they reported it, at least when I was waited tables through college. They were like, how much did you make in tips today? And I was like, oh, like $5, right? So now we're not going to be punishing workers for being more productive, which is what happens when you tax overtime pay as well. You create less productive people. So 66% of Americans support ending taxation on overtime pay. And we all know what happens when you tax overtime pay. We all know that guy who doesn't do the overtime because he's going to pay more in taxes and he gets in benefits from doing it. Thus, government policy creates less productive workers. So between this taxation, the taxation on tips, we have encouraged people not to work. And we should be encouraging people to work because they'll get that extra money, they'll spend it, it'll help economic growth, it's going to be good. Another 70% of Americans favor making the Tax and Job Cuts Act of 2017 permanent. I thought it was permanent, but apparently it is not, and it's set to expire soon, causing the tax burden on the average American to increase by $2,500 per year. And as much as our Congress wants to send that money to Ukraine and not to people who need it in America, I certainly think it would be better if we helped have that money into the hands of Americans. And so hopefully they'll make this permanent this time, but that's not going to stop Democrats who later and eventually will take Congress and Senate back of increasing taxes again so that they can send it to someone on the world somewhere who needs it more than Americans do. So these are just a few things to keep an eye on as the next Congress gets ready to go into session. You want to keep an eye on these things and find out who opposes it, because people who go against these things are going to be targets for 2026. People we can take out to support our small government, small tax agenda that has been the hallmark of being a conservative. And so, please pay attention to this issue, and I'll probably upload an article about it on Substack. But your talking points are going to be that small government is good. Less taxes means we get to stimulate the economy, encourage people to work, and encourage those people to spend the money on the things that they need, thus creating more productivity. We also want to make sure that we rein in the government, because the only thing worse than big government liberals are big government conservatives, because they will campaign on shrinking the size of government and then they will increase it. They increase the size of government even when the greatest president ever in history was in office, Ronald Reagan, increased the size of government. We have to put a stop to this and make sure that they actually shrink the government. Overall, we know Trump's got a pretty good mandate to shrink the size of government if he's able to do it. And so hopefully we'll get to see those promises finally come forward. But in the meantime, this is something you're going to need to keep an eye on to make sure that we deliver on the mandate that was promised. So Good luck in getting your 2026 campaign going, and if you're, feel free to leave questions in the box or on Substack. Good luck on the campaign.